after we split up.
Okay, folks, we'll give it one more minute. We'll get started here.
Watch it be on different routes. I told Audrey, I'm like, we're gonna love Mr. Ryan.
That's what I told Roxy too.
He is the nicest man in the whole world.
Yep.
We love Mr. Ryan too, but could you put your mute on? All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get started. I have a brief presentation for you this evening to make sure that everybody's on target for this upcoming Monday return for the 21-22 school year. I just want to make sure that everybody understands that unfortunately we are headed into our third consecutive year affected by COVID-19. So I just wanted to run the district's plan out to the community so that you understand what our preparation and what our plans are to protect your child while they are in our custody. So if we could go to slide number 2, Mrs. Kitchen. So we have been following very closely to the CDC's recommendations. The August 5th recommendations is where we have been following every single reopening plan. So we are returning to an in-person instruction on Monday, the 30th, and we do have layered protection strategies in place. And the next slide is going to roll them out. So keeping your kids safe throughout our school day. So we do plan to have students masked from K through 12. All students vaccinated or unvaccinated are going to be masked. We do use desk shields. We have been promoting vaccination clinics. We have been handling our air intake filters very closely with our maintenance department to make sure that we are doing preventative maintenance to our air filtration system. We're naturally promoting hand washing, cleaning and disinfecting by our custodial department. They're doing a wonderful job. And we're always going to be promoting students to stay home when they have signs and symptoms of illness. And then when we need to, we will be contact tracing in combination with isolation and quarantine. And going back to the biggest sticking point, right now is with the masking, okay? We're going to, on slide number 5, we're currently on slide number 3. I will explain the masking because I've had a couple emails and I will make sure that we're taking this, this topic very seriously and explain to this community why the need for masks vaccinated versus and or non-vaccinated. So next slide, please. So the levels of return. If any of you were on our community night for getting ready to go back to school 2 weeks ago, I did the levels of return. So level 1 is how we're returning on Monday, August 30th. It's a full return, pre-pandemic levels, riding the bus at full capacity, classrooms full capacity, so on and so forth. If we ever ran into a problem where we were having a reduction in community health status, and we had to move to a level 2, that would look like we did last year. This is hopefully very unlikely, but to let everybody know, if we do have a level 2, everybody on this call and within our school community understands what level 2 means. And then level 3, I hope we never reach that, would be a fully remote status like we were in the beginning of last year. But again, the optimistic piece to this is we are returning fully on a level 1 status, and hopefully we remain that way. Next slide. So the goals of the Hanover Area School District. My goal as the superintendent of schools, along with this administrative team, we want to make sure that our schools are open every minute of every day. No students are going to be missing time due to quarantine, isolation, whatever it might be. And the CDC has told us that if we have students masked from K through 12, the requirements of contact tracing and the reduction of unnecessary quarantines is the mission of our district, is to mask all students so we can reduce both unnecessary quarantines and isolations. So if you see there, bullet point number 2, our masked students eliminate our requirement to contact trace within classrooms. So the only time that we would be susceptible to doing a contact trace is if, can everybody please mute their microphone? The only time we would have to contact trace is in the cafeteria when the students have their masks down. That's when susceptibility begins to emerge. So what we're going to clearly do is make sure that in the cafeteria, the students have their desk shields with them. So in this way, there is an added benefit of safety. Vaccinated students. The benefit, you might ask us, well, you're having all these vaccination clinics. Why would I have my student vaccinated if they still have to wear a mask anyway? Vaccinated students, according to the CDC, they do not have to quarantine at this point. So if we get any further instructions that change that, we will revisit this. But the benefit for you as a parent and as the student themselves, they are vaccinated. You're not missing any instruction time because you have been vaccinated against the virus. So if there was somebody that you were exposed to, there's still not a need to quarantine. And then the final goal is obviously to not see what we saw last school year, which was that summer slide or all the issues that we ran into last year with students having academic decline. So the target is every minute of every day. We're getting them back into school. The best way we could do that is wearing masks. That reduces unnecessary isolation times. So very next slide is going to be what we call the Emergency Operations Center. This is a dashboard that's set up. It's a reporting tool for the Hanover Area School District. Every single time we have a positive case, we're going to upload this into this portal, and this will be able to be viewed for our community to see if our health status is deteriorating as a community. So this is an easy way. Once this is operational, this is getting ready to launch this week. I will make sure that everybody in this community has access so you can see exactly what the health statuses of our students are in our community. And this is going to create full transparency so you know where you're sending your kids every day and if we're doing a good job as a district keeping them safe. So that is the extent of my presentation. As always, we're going to open it up on the floor. I do not want to see a lot of redundant questions about resistance against the masks. This is something that we put in place, and we're going to stand strong with this, okay? So if there's any questions, please raise your hand icon.
Mrs. Podolak?
Hi, I came in a little bit late, so I'm a little bit unclear. Is everyone wearing masks or only kids that are unvaccinated in the high school?
Everybody, K through 12.
Okay.
Yep.
Everybody vaccinated or unvaccinated? Okay.
Yep.
And oh, so it doesn't matter. You don't have, like, I was wondering how you would, determine who was vaccinated and not vaccinated. We haven't been asked to send in any forms or anything.
So we have created a form, and that's going to go home. That is going to be available online, and/or the kids are going to come in and have this with their medical records that are filled out the first few days.
Okay, thank you.
Suzanne?
Hello, Suzanne.
Suzanne? Okay, Mr. Qualia?
Hi, Mr. Qualia.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Mr. Barrett. I have a couple follow-up questions. Could you elaborate more on what you mean about vaccinated students not needing to quarantine? What exactly do you mean by that? And in what context will they not need to quarantine? So for example, if they come in close contact with someone who tested positive, you're saying that they would not need to quarantine, correct?
The CDC is saying that, and I'm following that. Yes.
Okay. Does that apply to teachers as well?
That does. So what the recommendation is beyond that is we don't want to leave anybody in harm's way. So the recommendation is 3 days beyond the exposure, last exposure, recommend getting a test to assure that there's not a variant or anything that you are susceptible to.
And if, let's say a fully vaccinated student tests positive asymptomatically, what does that mean for that student?
I guess we're gonna have to handle that one. That I don't have the answer right off the top of my head. So if we run into that situation, I would have to dig a little further and rely on the medical team in the district.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just asking because there's so much, a plethora of guidance that we're all seeing out there in the newspapers
Sure.
and the media, et cetera. But if you have a student who's fully vaccinated, who, does come in contact with someone and does test positive, but they're asymptomatic and they do have the vaccine, I'm just concerned that making that student be, fully quarantined may not be justified for that specific student.
I understand. I think my point here tonight is we're going to have those extenuating circumstances. There's no doubt.
Right.
I think the basic nuts and bolts of our day are going to be handling these basics. And I wanted the community to be aware and be adaptable or adjustable to what our decision may be. And I wanted the community to know what we need to do. So
No.
on those particular instances, we might have to do a deep dive and get a little bit more creative
And we're not doing any proactive temperature checks, anything like that?
not at level 1, no.
And I apologize, I didn't attend the last community night. So if this was addressed in the first community night, I apologize in advance. If we were to move to a level 2, I guess things would change, obviously, if we move to a level 2.
Yes, sir. So that would go back into place. We
Right.
would reduce staff by 50%
Right,
and student body by 50% to reduce the risk.
right. Okay. I don't want to monopolize. Other people have questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Christina?
Hi, Christina.
Christina, do you have a question?
She
Okay,
cannot unmute, she's saying in the chat. Could you unmute her?
I cannot unmute her. She would have to unmute herself.
Okay,
Christina, try to push down your space bar if you're on a computer.
Okay, we can take Adrian and maybe come back to Christina.
Hi, I just have a question. Last year, unfortunately, our home was hit with COVID. My daughter was in grade at Hanover Green, and quarantine was pretty easy for her because someone in our home again gets COVID. How does she continue learning at this level 1?
I'm not understanding the question. You were cutting out a little bit. So level 1, we're back in full, we're back at full capacity. So we attend the physical school every day. Did I misunderstand you?
Yeah, my question is, God forbid one of us gets COVID again and we have to quarantine.
Mhm.
Is does a virtual option open up for those students?
Yes,
Or
yes,
okay,
yes. So what we do is we jump back into a software system that we have.
okay, all right. Thank you very much.
Okay, Christina, were you able to unmute yourself? Okay, Mary?
I have a question. I have 4 kids in the district and one that's going to pre-K. Saying one of those, classrooms have a possible exposure, do I keep all of them home?
No, we would give guidance. So every single incident that happens in the district, we call the individual families that were affected by it and we give you specific guidance.
Oh, so you don't keep all, will these days, quarantine days be held against them or?
No,
whatnot?
quarantine wouldn't be held against them, but if there was a particular instance where your other children were exposed,
Right,
we would handle that. We would give advice on that.
all right.
Suzanne?
Okay, Lise, could you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so my question is if a child is sick, would we be able to leave them home since they have the Chromebooks? Will they be able to do the work throughout the day at home and not be counted as an absence for school? Or is it still going to count as an absence? Do you know what I mean?
That is actually a fantastic question. And the flexible instruction days that we have are just mainly for emergency operations. I didn't want to begin to get into, I can barely hear. I didn't want to get into utilizing this as an option, but if it's going to be an extended illness, then we would explore that option. But I don't want to get in day by day. The management of keeping track of students in and out of the district can become dangerous. And what I mean by that is one day we may think your child is working from home, but they're not, and you expected them to be in school. It just gets a little tedious with the accountability of the student. So
Yeah.
my answer, I'm not dancing around it, is I don't want to utilize that unless long-term.
Yes, I'm saying so if the student is put on quarantine, they're going to be allowed to work from home, so it wouldn't be held account. That's where I guess that would have
I'm
been.
sorry. I'm
that
sorry.
would
Yes,
have been the
absolutely.
Question,
Yes.
yes.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Barrett, Christina's question was, I'm not sure if you wanted to address this, the 6th grade orientation.
Tomorrow evening, everything's tomorrow evening. So she wants to call Linwood tomorrow. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Mrs. Evans is on here. Mrs. Evans, do you have information on that?
I am on Mr. Barrett. Yeah, the orientation is going to be a virtual orientation. So what you're going to do is log in to the principals, and I believe Mr. Barrett can correct me if I'm wrong, but they're going to do them one after another, so we didn't take up everybody's night. So it is going to be virtual.
Consecutive.
It will not be in the school. It will be a virtual orientation.
Tiffany was wondering the same thing. So tomorrow evening, in other words, tomorrow evening, we are having individual orientations online that are consecutive, one right after the other. So if you have students in multiple schools, you just stay on. So that will be tomorrow evening, and that will be posted tomorrow. But the high school 7th and 8th grade are going to be at the building.
Okay, Larissa, do you have a question?
Yeah, I have a couple. The orientation tomorrow starts at 5:15, starting with Hanover Green, correct?
Yes,
Okay, and then it'll be the Lee Park and then the Memorial Leg in consecutive order.
correct.
Okay, also, if the children go to a level 2,
Mhm.
will the parents have the option to just keep their children home instead of doing the switch in, switch out, switch in?
Yes, and the way that that would happen is the students would have to stay in that dynamic for a semester. So at least 2 quarters, okay?
Okay,
So we want to see some consistency in their education. There's been enough inconsistencies in their life support things, but we'll make it by semester.
okay. And then I had typed my question to Lisa and I forgot it already because we talked about so much in between.
Let's
It's
see.
in the chat.
What was your name again?
Larissa McKenzie. So we already mentioned that they'll be doing the snow days at home. We already mentioned if they get sick, but they're not too sick. Here's my other question. I have a lot of questions, but I apologize. If they don't get too sick, but they have to stay home, can they still attend school on the computer?
So that's, and I just explained this to Ms. Shepherd. I'm not trying to insult you by saying that.
I'm
but
sorry, I apologize.
No, I'm not, I know it might come across wrong, so I want to just
Okay.
preface it with this. All I want to do is make sure that we're not readily using these days back and forth. It's very difficult for teachers to manage that. So I want to make sure that the main goal is getting kids into the school. So I'm going to try to use that only in long-term illnesses or quarantine of some sort. Okay, so
Okay.
I know it is a nice option, but it's a little difficult to manage from a managerial standpoint. So I prefer not to. If we get into that, we will definitely pivot. I promise you.
Okay. Okay. And I'm sorry, I forgot my other my other question. Maybe Lisa has it on her chat.
I do have it.
Okay, love.
If under 12 vaccine becomes available, will the school offer the vaccines at the school administration?
Most certainly, definitely,
Okay,
100%.
excellent. Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, and Maria has a question?
Maria.
Hi, my mother has likes to know if the first graders have the option to stay at home for school.
Yeah, so we do offer our own online academy. So I'll put are you able to see the chat, Maria?
Yeah,
Okay, what I'll do is I'll type in the chat who you need to reach out to, okay?
all right then.
Okay. That's the director of our online academy, okay? That email address, just request the information, okay?
Okay then, thank you.
You're welcome, Maria.
Mr. Barrett, there's a question that's been posted twice in the chat. Is kindergarten orientation still on in school
That's
for
Tuesday.
tomorrow?
No, that's Monday is the orientation. They don't come back until Tuesday.
No, I think kindergarten, was Mr. Kane having an in-person kindergarten orientation up there?
I believe he is on Monday, but
okay.
let's confirm. Yeah, I will definitely, let me double check on that and I'll post it on our social
Nate, it's
media.
on.
Oh, you're
Nate,
here?
Yeah, I'm
Yep.
here. It's Thursday. It's tomorrow, 5:15. I'm gonna do the community meeting like you're doing now.
Yeah.
Then I'm gonna hand the mic off to Terry and I'm jumping down to the school. We're going 6 to 8
Okay,
for kindergarten. Okay, now it's A through K from 6 to 7 because we're trying to keep our numbers down.
got it.
And then it's L to Z from 7 to 8. And I'm gonna send a reminder out to everybody and I'm gonna send a
Beautiful.
on Facebook. I'll get it out as well, okay?
Thank you, Mr. Kane. Did that answer that family's question?
It did.
Okay. Mrs. Evans, while I have you here, folks that have been checking your bus stops and the bus routes, we did have subtle changes today. So if you had checked your student's bus stop or bus route previous to today, please recheck because we did make some slight changes today for efficiency. So if you did not check that out on our website under the transportation tab, please do check that out if you didn't already, but if you did, we did make some slight changes just to see if you were affected by it.
Thank you, Mr. Barrett.
Thank you.
We have a question from Michael.
Hi, Mike.
Hey, how are you?
Good.
I'm not gonna rack your brain with anything too crazy. You covered a lot. Just you know how to get me on remind. If any parents or anything get stuck or like sanitize or masks, anything that we can help out with, we're always willing to do so. We do have like electrostatic guns, UV lighting, all that stuff. So if anybody does need anything, please feel free to reach out. We are background cleared, healthcare.
Mike, will you put that in the chat, Mike?
Yep, absolutely. Yep.
Thank you.
Hi, Maria. Did you have another question?
Is it from Maria Garcia?
Yes, it is.
Okay, I have two questions. So basically, you guys put up a thing up stating that who's taking the buses, who's going straight to daycare. Now I need to change that. Who do I speak to about that? She'll be going into Lee Park.
I'm gonna put an email in the chat. Marie, could you see it?
Hold on one second. Yes.
Okay, that's a person, that's a big cheese in transportation right there. She'll take care of you.
Okay. All right, perfect. And just, I didn't quite get to hear. I know everybody was talking, but tomorrow for Lee Park, they doing it virtual as well as the
Yes.
orientation. Perfect. That's all I needed to know.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Maria.
You're welcome.
Have a great night. Have a great
You
night.
too. You too.
Okay, Mr. Barrett, I believe that's all the questions, except a few parents are questioning the orientations. I'm not sure if Dr. Schnee's on here or one of the elementary principals that could give the exact times of the other schools.
How about I do this, folks? If anybody subscribes to our Remind app, let me get in touch with the principals and I'll send it out in the form of a text in the next 10 minutes.
Nate, I could give you,
Give me the-
5:15 for Hanover Green.
Okay,
Then it's 6 o'clock for Lee Park. Then
Okay.
it's 6:30 would be who's next? Would be Memorial.
Yep.
Then 7 for Linwood, and then 7:30 for the high school.
perfect.
I had to go a little early because I have that 6 o'clock in-person orientation.
Fabulous.
Okay,
Excellent. Thank you so much.
not a problem.
All right, folks, any further questions? Always email us, give us a call. Thank you for showing up tonight.
Mr. Barrett, there was just one last question here. They're asking what would trigger you to move from level 2 to level 3?
It would be state guidance as to the number of students, positive cases per the amount of kids that we have in the district. So there's a ratio. So, but hopefully we never reach that.
Okay, I think that's all the questions, and I believe you.
Thanks,
even-
Larissa. That was very nice.
Thanks for your time tonight, Mr. Barrett. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Mrs. Evans. Thanks, Larissa. That was very nice.
Thanks, Mr. Barrett.
Have a great night.
You too. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Barrett.
Good night, Maria.